And welcome in everyone to this week's episode of Craze's Corner. We just recorded a show, quarterbacks and running backs draft class for this upcoming year. If you haven't watched that one, you can go and watch that one after this. This one's going to be the wide receivers and tight ends in this upcoming draft class. We're going to be discussing the top guys at each position, where they could land, how we feel about them for fantasy. Do we think they're going to bust that quarterbacks and running backs show? Not a lot of guys that we were super excited about. So you might want to go have a look at that. And maybe you hear all these guys that are getting hyped up on social media, getting hyped up all over the place. Go listen to that show if you want, some extra other opinions from the other side. Things that can go wrong for these guys. Go have a listen to that show. We got wide receivers, tight end. We got wide receivers and tight end today. One tight end, a bunch of wide receivers to talk about. We'll start with the tight end because honestly, I think it's going to be a quicker discussion. Brock Bowers, probably a top 10 pick. And
pretty much, yes.
I think he's going to be good. I think he'll be a mid to late first round pick in Superflex leagues, probably a mid first round pick in regular fantasy football leagues. If he ends up in a good situation, I think it could be great for him. I hope he doesn't end up in Tennessee. There's already too many mouths to feed, and they have no quarterback. So I would hate to see that for him. But I think Brock Bowers, to me, far and away, tight end 1. And for fantasy-wise, I don't think you're taking another tight end in the first 2 to 3 rounds, my opinion, in a fantasy football dynasty rookie draft. Jeff, what do you think about Brock Bowers?
I like him. Just depends, again, on where he is going to end up. A lot of people keep saying the Jets. I'm not necessarily sure if I like him there. Still so much uncertainty about the quarterback player, Aaron Rodgers. We really haven't seen him,
Yeah.
And just thinking back to his time in Green Bay, it wasn't like he had any. It wasn't like a Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce relationship. So
Yeah, he had Mercedes Lewis. I mean, he was good for a couple touchdowns a season.
Yeah,
just sneaking out.
And I think that's the problem now. Everybody's looking for, the next Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, a guy that's going to be a number one type go-to guy when they're looking at Brock Bowers and where he's going to go. And I don't think he's going to be that with the Jets, especially Garrett Wilson there. So.
Yeah, I think if he goes to a situation, he could definitely be a number 2 target in a successful NFL offense. But again, it's going to depend on the situation. If he ends up, with the Titans, he could end up, maybe with the Giants. There's a lot of bad situations that he could end up in. But then it's just talent versus opportunity. What will win out? I think he'll still be a first-round pick no matter where he goes in rookie drafts. Will, what do you think about Brock Bowers?
I like him. I'm just to echo what you guys are saying. I think it could be really interesting a first year with the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
But then what's year 2, 3, 4 look like? That's the thing that makes me scared. So you're in a rookie draft, you're drafting him at the top, maybe 1-5, 1-6, 1-7. And that first year. So maybe you have to be the mindset. I'm going to draft him. He's going to have a good rookie year with Aaron Rodgers. And then I might end up trading him for multiple picks.
Yeah.
Because you might want to be thinking, you need to get out high on him quick. And because I just don't know if Rodgers only does 1 year, then what's the quarterback situation for the Jets?
Zach Wilson.
Yeah. Zach Wilson. Maybe they go. Maybe Aaron Rodgers plays another year. But yeah, I get what you're saying. If he goes to the Jets, maybe he ends up in Cincinnati. That could be a good spot with T. Higgins on the way out. That'd be another ideal situation. But yeah, Brock Bowers for me is the only tight end I'm really looking at, unless there's like a really good landing spot. You guys have anyone else you're looking at? We talked about Sanders a little bit earlier between me and Will.
Yeah,
super excited.
Cade Stover, I'm kind of interested where he could be kind of a forgot what the second tight end that the Packers took last year that kind of came on after Musgrave got hurt.
Kraft, I think.
Kraft, you're right. Tyler
Yeah.
Kraft. Yeah. I think he can have that same type of effect. But, everybody's looking for the next Sam Laporta as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, it's Laporta just fell into the right place with the Lions. So
last year's tight end class was more talented than this tight end class. You had like when we were going into the draft process, everyone was excited about your Michael Mayers, your Sam Laportas, Dalton Kincaids. Like those were all guys that possibly were gonna sneak into the end of the first or be day 2 picks. This draft class feels like Brock Bowers is a guaranteed top 16 pick, and then maybe you get a couple guys day 2, maybe you don't. But I don't really think we need to discuss them too much more because we have a lot of wide receivers in this draft class that we want to talk about.
I will say this, though. You can never go wrong, it seems like, with an Iowa tight end. So Eric Hall might end up something as well.
Mm-hmm. Good idea to keep an eye on. They are tight end you.
Yeah.
We got a bunch of great tight ends coming out there. Like I said, we got wide receivers to talk about. This is a stacked wide receiver draft class. If you need wide receivers in fantasy football and you got your rookie drafts coming up, you're going to be in for a treat. Marvin Harrison Jr., generational prospect. His dad, Marvin Harrison Sr. Some of you guys might have heard of him. Played for the Colts for a long time. I think Marvin Harrison, he did everything you wanted to see him do at Ohio State. He's been groomed since he was a child. This is what he was meant to do. As long as he does not get drafted by the New England Patriots, I'm all in on Marvin Harrison Jr. Draft him. To me, he's the 101 in Superflex leagues. I think you take him over any of the quarterbacks because, like I said, unless he's in New England, I think he's going to be a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL for 5 to 10 plus years. I think that's the guy he is. So for me, Marvin Harrison Jr., he's pretty much locked and loaded unless he's a New York or a New England Patriot. What do you guys think about Marvin Harrison Jr.? You feel the same way? I know Will has the reservations about the Patriots as well. I don't want whatever wide receiver goes to New England. You guys all see him as the best wide receiver in this class, though?
I do. I'm a huge fan of his father, so I'll used to be a Colts fan.
Yeah.
And I'll say it here first. If for some way he slides and gets to the Chargers and they draft him, I'm taking him 101.
Yeah.
I'm just letting you guys know that now. So
Will, you seem hesitant. You think he's the wide receiver 1?
I don't, there was a time where wide receiver 1 meant a lot. I think the last couple of drafts have shown us that there's not a big necessary difference between wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 6. I just think the colleges are doing a really good job of developing wide receivers, and the NFL's moving to more 3 wide receiver, right? It's the evolution of the game. So, does a wide receiver that goes in the 3rd round actually become a better prospect than the first? And I'm not trying to say that there's a better guy than Marvin Harrison. I really think he's the best athlete at that position, most polished, ready to start. It's just, I think if you're in fantasy, if you're drafting in a dynasty and you have where you are in your draft, is there going to be that big of a drop off between that position for you drafting at the top of round 1, Jeff, or the top of round 2?
True.
Right. And so do you look at it and say, I should take the best position at 1-1 that's this, because I'm going to get a good wide receiver at 2-1?
True.
Yeah.
True.
I think, to me, like I said, I think Marvin Harrison is locked. I think he's going to be a, Jamar Chase level impact right away. Justin Jefferson. I think he is that guy. And to me, you can take a shot on a guy in a later round for sure. But I think Marvin Harrison is about as sure a thing as you can get.
Unless he's in New England.
Yeah, unless he's in New England.
Let's say he goes to New England. Where do you draft him in your fantasy Superflex? Where do you draft him?
Superflex, I'd take Neighbors over him.
Even if Neighbors is at the Giants?
Yeah, I think I'd still take Neighbors over him.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Hey, what happens if Neighbors ends up at the Giants. It's almost as bad.
It's worse.
I don't think it's worse. I think
at least there's some hope with New England. New coaching staff. I feel bad whoever the Giants take.
I think in the Giants offense with DeBoll as the head coach, they're going to funnel targets if they take Neighbors. Because to me, the way I have these wide receivers ranked, it's Marvin Harrison Jr. He's in his own tier. I have Malik Neighbors in a next tier by himself, and I have Odunze in another tier by himself. I think that the top three guys are locked and loaded, but I think they're all a tier down from each other. So I have Harrison. I think Harrison outside of New England, even if Harrison goes to the Giants, I'm okay with that because he's going to get funneled targets. I don't trust the Patriots offense. They just hired more of Bill Belichick's old staff. I don't love that. I have no excitement for whatever quarterback they get. So I'm out there. But Malik Neighbors, I think, is going to be okay if he goes to New England. I don't think he'll go to the Patriots at 3. That means Marvin Harrison Jr. went higher. Odunze has been rumored. The big pick for him has been the Bears pick, which not great for fantasy-wise, behind DJ Moore and Keenan Allen. But the talent's there. I like what I've seen from Rome Odunze. So those are my big top 3. Do you guys kind of agree that those are the top 3 and they're kind of each like in their own tier where these guys, assuming they're not New England Patriots and they get some decent landing spot, that those are the top 3?
Yep, I'm with you.
After 3, take your shot. You could pick any one of the next 10 guys and they're pretty much similar in my books by way of chances that they hit. Wilton knows that this draft class is deep, so I assume he feels a similar way. I just don't know. Will, do you think that Rome Odunze is, he's still above the rest of those other guys?
Yeah, I'm a little intrigued by the Texas kids.
Mm-hmm.
Me too.
I think they didn't get a lot of respect this year for multiple reasons. And I think though they could I think they're going to have a better chance to shine right away because they're going to go later in the draft, later in the round, and they're going to end up in the right situation. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be scary.
I like Mitchell out of Texas. I really do.
And I like Worthy. So so yeah, you look at it that way. Worthy going to set the record. Mitchell was good in Texas as well. You got guys like Brian Thomas Jr. who had amazing touchdown year last year. Ladd McConkey, Keon Coleman's a polarizing guy. We talked a little bit about Roman Wilson before the show. Troy Franklin, Xavier Legette. Like these are all guys to me who are kind of in that similar tier where right situation, whichever one of those guys that I just named is drafted by the Buffalo Bills in the first round, they're probably going to be, if Rome Odunze goes to the Bears, Neighbors go, so maybe the guy who goes to the Bills jumps over Rome Odunze draft pick wise when it comes to fantasy football rookie drafts. I could see whichever guy, whether it's McConkey, Mitchell, Worthy, Coleman, Franklin, that could be any of these guys that goes to the Bills. The Chiefs with the Rashee Rice arrest warrants out for him. To me, I have those 3, and if I had to pick my 4th guy out of that list that probably going to succeed in the NFL, I think Worthy would be my wide receiver 4.
Mm-hmm.
What about you guys? Who do you have as your wide receiver 4? Jeff, you mentioned Mitchell. Is he your 4?
He's my 4 just because of his size over Worthy.
Yeah.
Because he's
got that for sure.
Yeah, and his speed was still there.
Yeah.
And that game against Washington, it was kind of going back and forth, him snatching the ball. And I was just like, this dude, even in the game against Alabama, he was doing some damage. Mm-hmm. So, size.
Big games don't scare him.
Right. And that's why I was looking at him as now he would be, to me, a really good fit for Kansas City as well. Like I said, I'm a little bit afraid of. I still have John Ross PTSD, but I think Worthy is a little bit bigger than John Ross was. But
yeah, to me, like John Ross was a second or third round pick, and his 40 time made him a top 10 pick.
Right.
To me, Xavier Worthy was a back end of the first round pick prospect, and that 40 time really just kind of proved on the field is that he's faster than everyone else.
Yeah.
He's small, which is worrisome, but we've seen with like Devonta Smith and Tank Dell last year that these smaller wide receivers are able to kind of find their footing in the NFL. So I think if he goes to a good situation, he's my 4. Will, who would your wide receiver 4 in this draft class be?
I'm going to go probably with Mitchell right now, just because size speed combo, and for fantasy, especially for fantasy, because I think he's the guy that might pop first. I mean, if Marvin went to Arizona or the Chargers, he will definitely pop first. But Neighbors going to the Giants, Odunze going to the Bears at 9.
Mm-hmm.
Great talent, but is it going to take a year?
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could see it taking a year, especially if Odunze goes to the Bears. He's essentially a red shirt. You're not playing him in fantasy. Like, he's behind 2 guys. Brian Thomas Jr., interesting for me, really just 1 year production, right, in LSU, which kind of lines up with Jaden Daniels. The touchdowns were there, but yeah, he was the wide receiver 2. The defenses weren't really focused on him. So I'm not in love with Brian Thomas Jr., but he's going to be a first-round pick. From all I've seen, he's pretty much consensus wide receiver 4 off the board. Mm-hmm. So NFL teams, or at least the guys who are doing these mocks, think that the NFL teams like him. Ladd McConkey and Roman Wilson are guys where they, look good. They didn't really get the volume. I like McConkey more than I like Wilson, but like the volume, I don't understand how you can be or expected to be a great wide receiver in the NFL when you can't get targets in college. Can't earn targets in college. Why is an NFL team going to give you
Well, looking at the combine, I will say that McConkey reminded me a little bit of Puka Nacua when he was doing the straight line. His hands are just amazing, and he's just kind of that shifty guy, man. That again, it's almost like the running backs now, where it depends on the system that they're in and what team they fall to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think like McConkey has everything. We saw it all in the field. Like, he can make plays, but he just wasn't on the field enough.
Right.
Like, and if you're being like looking at I have up his reception percentage for his team, 17%. Receiving yard percentage, 17%, 23% of the touchdowns, and a dominator rating of 19%. And that's all not good in college. You're supposed to have, look at Marvin Harrison, 28, 38, 58, 47% in those. Like, the production's just not there.
But he's a guy I can see, like, if he ended up with a team like the Steelers, he's like a Tyler Lockett.
Yeah,
he's taking over everything that Deontay Johnson used to get, and it would be one of those things is a perfect fit. A lot of these guys, and that's what I'm waiting to see, to where it would possibly have me grab him over some other bigger names.
Yeah, like I said, he's got it. Just I want to see what that disconnect was in Georgia.
Right.
Another polarizing name I want to get you guys' thoughts on is Keon Coleman out of Florida State.
I like Keon Coleman.
Yeah?
Yeah, I do. I think it might take a year, but I like the potential there.
I'm not sold. I see the potential for sure. He's got, probably out of these guys not in that top 3, he's probably got the highest ceiling of any of these wide receivers. He's got all the physical tools. He's 6'3", 215 pounds. This guy's big. He's got the size. He's got, the intangibles. But he also has bust written all over him when you watch him in college. He, I brought it up with, another comp that, low-end comp for Keon Coleman is like N'Keal Harry. Like, all the hype, and then just nothing happens in the NFL. Could happen to Keon Coleman. I would love to see it not happen, and I would love to see him be successful. But he again, when you're looking at his target share, 22%, but then his touchdowns was 51%. So we got 22% of the targets and 51% of the touchdowns. Like that, not too often in the NFL does that happen, but it could if he ends up in the right spot. Will, any other wide receivers you want to bring up? Talk about?
I think the other guys at Washington don't get the attention maybe they deserve.
Right.
I think Polk, especially Polk, that he's gonna go in the second or third round, and he's gonna go to a team, and I think he could be a good steal in fantasy drafts, especially those dynasties with rookie drafts, because he's probably second round in that, and you might get a mid first round talent. Then I like some, like I said, I like some of the smaller guys too, the slot receivers. I think their value goes up if your league gives you individual points for special team touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
The kickoffs are either going to be crazy or it's going to be a disaster. There's not going to be no between. Either there's going to be teams getting the ball at the 50-yard line every time because they're running the ball back and the scoring is going to go through the roof, or teams are going to be pinned in their own 15-yard line.
Yeah. I'm interested to see how the kickoffs kind of come into play here with, these guys just getting on the roster. Should help some of these guys who, did it in college. Teams want to get them the ball as much as they can. We'll see guys like Cordell Patterson, who's now back with Arthur Smith in Pittsburgh. So that sucks for Najee Harris and Jalen Warren. A couple
I like Ricky Parasol.
Yeah. I can see it happening.
Slot receiver. Yeah. It just,
a guy I want the Panthers to draft later on in this draft. I want Moose Muhammad.
Yes.
Moose Muhammad's son. I want him in Carolina.
Yeah.
The college production wasn't great, but bring him to Carolina. Let's see what we can do. I loved watching Moosin. Let's see how Moose does. You got Christian McCaffrey's. Luke McCaffrey in here. Another guy kind of. Yeah. There's some talent in this wide receiver class that we're going to see.
Jerry Rice's son.
Yep.
Yeah.
Brendan Rice. Yeah, he's also in here. There's some guys that are going to be.
I think that's one guy I think that's getting a lot of hype because of Family Line.
Mm-hmm.
That I don't understand why the numbers weren't there in college.
Yeah,
especially the quarterback that he had.
Right.
Right. So he's going to come to the NFL and do something he didn't do at USC.
Yeah. No, I don't see it happening much for Rice. Like I said, if you want to be like, I'm the son of Marvin Harrison, you got to do
you better put it up.
Right.
Yeah, and he did. But yeah, Jerry Rice's son didn't. Moose, I don't think he has the hype. I don't think Moose has the hype.
Yeah.
But again, I want him in Carolina because that would make me happy as a Panthers fan. Get a little Moose action back in Carolina. And yeah, like I said, we'll talk about these guys after the draft. We'll have a actual draft. You'll get to come in. We'll post for you guys so you can see kind of who we're looking at, see some trade situations. We can talk about, writing these other guys' picks, tell you how bad these other teams are doing, tell you when Jeff trades the 101 to me so I can take Marvin Harrison Jr. Which I can't see happening, but maybe I'll try and trade up. I already traded Will.
Hey, you get me the 102 or 103, and we got something we can talk about.
There you go.
Good luck getting that.
No, at that point, I would just keep those and take neighbors and.
Yeah, 102 ain't moving. I think 102 is in cement right now.
Yeah, I think so too. So when we're on live and Jeff takes Caleb Williams, I'm going straight to the guy who has the 103, and I'm trying to give him everything I can because I think that Marvin Harrison Jr. will still be there. And to me, Marvin Harrison Jr. is a guy that's worth trading. Like for my team, I've got Gibbs, I have Breece Hall, I've got the running back position on lock. My wide receivers are a little bit more questionable. I just traded for AJ Brown, but like I'm dealing with like Nico Collins in Houston now, where is Nico Collins the wide receiver 2? Is he Is he the wide receiver 1 still with Stephon Diggs there and Tank Dell? Like, is he the wide receiver 3? I don't know exactly how that all plays out. So I would love to add Marvin Harrison Jr. to my team, and I will be doing everything I can to make that happen. But I can't
three is the only window you got.
Yeah, I know.
Because if he's at 4, unless he's in New England, now if New England drafts him, call me at 4.
Yeah. If New England drafts him, I don't want him. Even though I love Marvin Harrison Jr., it's just something about those Patriots. I do not want him. I had the 105, and I traded the 105 to you, Will, because I knew Marvin Harrison is the guy I wanted in this draft. I didn't think he'd be there. Neighbors would maybe be there, but I'm not sure with the location I'm not sure. But we will end it there. We will have a show for you after the draft. We can rank these guys better once they have their teams. Go check out the previous show, quarterbacks and running backs. Hope you enjoyed this show. Thank you, Jeff and Will from Media, for joining. Go check out the Media app, guys. You definitely want to do that. We'll have some content coming out, draft, leading up to the draft from the app. We'll have content after. We're going to be doing some big things going into next season. You guys are not going to want to miss it. You can catch our socials at the bottom of the screen. Thank you guys for joining. Hope everyone who's watching enjoyed. We'll see you again soon.
Thanks.
Take care, guys.